Hey guys, my name is Morgan and welcome to today's video. In bed B we have our bell pepper seedlings that I planted from seed, and as you can see the bunches that I've planted, they're actually very close together, and I knew that I was going to need to separate them and spread them out a little bit because I can't have them growing right up against each other like this. So you can see there's some spaces in the middle and there's a whole bunch of bell pepper seedlings on the side, and there's at least maybe 3 or 4 per clump that I've got here. So I need to separate them. I need to take some and plant them in the middle, make sure that it's one bell pepper per area. So I'm gonna have one over here, one over there, one over there, instead of having so many close together, because they're gonna start fighting for water, and they're gonna start fighting for nutrients and stuff like that, and that is going to prevent the weaker ones from actually growing properly and producing good fruit. So I'm going to be sorting out this today, and I've got another bed over here also with the same situation. We've got some bell pepper seedlings that are getting very big, and they're looking absolutely gorgeous, but they are extremely close together. So that's going to be the project for today. I'm going to sort out these beds and get them looking proper. So I'm just going to use a little spade, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to go quite far, like away from the plant, and I'm going to come in, just loosen the ground a little bit, and then I'm going to sort through here and very carefully I'm going to pick out one of them. There we go. So now I'm going to take one of these, I'm going to come over here, let's just use our spade, dig a little hole, put our seedling in, and then cover it up again. There we go. So I'm going to do that with all of these. I'm going to come along and take each one, and if I see that some of them, like this one, yeah, as I took it out, this one snapped, so that is definitely not going to work, so we're going to put that aside. So if there are any ones that are a little bit damaged, I won't use them, and if there are some, if I have extra, I think I might actually have quite a few extra, those are going to go into the beds that I have against the wall there. So I'm going to get on with this and we'll see if I have any extras. So there we have this bed complete. There are still a lot of bunches that have a lot of seedlings in, because what I want to have is one seedling as it goes. So there's still 2 here, 2 here, 3 there. There's still a huge amount, so I'm definitely going to be putting some in the beds up top. And if we come over this side, I've still got this bed to do as well, and here you can also see there's 4 in here, there's 3 there, another 2 here, but there's still also a lot of open space going all the way along, even at the back there. So I'm going to work on this bed now. I'm going to take all the seedlings and plant them around as well, and then once I'm done fixing up these beds, then we will go up to the top and we will take some of these and plant them up top there. Right, so there we go. That is so far this bed done. You can see there's still a lot of space around over there, so I'm going to use some of the seedlings from this side, and I'm going to take these ones and I'm going to plant them over. I'm going to move some of them this side because there's still a lot of open space. But one thing I just want to say as well is if you're going to be planting seeds, if you like want to start a raised bed or start a planter or something, I would 100% recommend rather to plant in 6-cell seedling trays and then just transplant them out there into the soil instead of planting a whole bunch of seeds in one hole and then having to split them later and stuff like that. I'm very lucky that they don't have a very huge root structure. They're not that difficult to just pull straight out the ground, and the roots are still all intact because they're quite shallow rooting. So if they were a little bit bigger and had more roots and stuff like that, it would have been a little bit more difficult and they would have broken and stuff like that. But if you plant them in seedling trays, you just pop them out and put them straight in the ground. You don't touch the roots, you don't damage them, nothing happens. And you can see here that this one is not looking too happy because it has definitely had a little bit of a root issue when I took that one specifically. Even if the root snaps just a tiny little bit, even if it's right at the bottom, if that root snaps, there is a good chance that it's not going to do too well, or it just needs a little bit more time and it'll pick up again. So I'll definitely not be doing this again. I won't be planting straight into beds unless I plant one seed, because I don't want to have to do this again. So if there's enough time, I'm actually going to be starting a few seeds. I have a couple 6-cell trays, so I'll show you how to do all of that. So if there's enough time, we'll get there. But I just wanted to say as well that I would much rather recommend planting in seeding trays and then just pop them out and put them in the ground instead of planting and then having to dig them up and move them and stuff like that. That is this piece of the bed finally done. We've got one pepper on its own. They're not together, they're not clumped up or anything. And you can see some of them do look a little bit sad. That's because they're in a bit of a shock at the moment, just from being lifted out the ground and put in a different place. So with a little bit of water and some time, they should be alright. If some of them don't make it, I'll completely understand, because like I said before, I shouldn't actually have done this, because working with roots, working with plants roots is really sketchy. I don't really like doing it. So if some of them don't make it, I'll completely understand, because I did mingle with the roots and stuff like that. But they should be okay with a little bit of water. It's not humid, it's not too hot today, so they should be alright. And we do potentially have some rain on the way, so hopefully that'll help as well. But yeah, I'm gonna get this bed a nice load of water just to settle everything in and give them a little drink so they're not too shocked. And then we're going to carry on with that one, and we're going to keep separating. So here we still have a whole bunch that are all together, so we're going to keep separating those and move them into the beds up top there. I have managed to fill one of these beds. There's 19 in here. I've got another one at the bottom that's got 30 and another one that's got 24. So that is 73 bell peppers. That's not even the raised bed that I have right in front of me here. So that is definitely a huge load of bell peppers, and I'm really excited to get some good produce from them. Here at our little workbench section that we've got going on here, we have our 6-cell trays. These are just normal trays that you get your seedlings in at your nursery, and I've actually been able to purchase some from my local nursery. So I've got 5 here, and I've got 5 different vegetables that I'm going to be growing. First thing, we have some carrots, just some normal carrots, and I have done research on each one of these, and now is the time to be starting them. We are now in January, so that's midsummer, so all perfectly fine. We have some cabbage. This is actually a little bag that I actually made with some paper, and we've got some sweet basil. We have some chamomile. These are going to be going down at the bottom. to help with pollination, to help bring in some pollinators, and some broccoli. So we've got some broccoli down there at the bottom, and these also say over here that you can actually start them, you can actually sow them all year round, so any one of the seasons. And seeing as broccoli do like a little bit of a colder climate, planting them now in midsummer, we're going to be going into autumn and winter eventually, so getting them started now, and then slowly but surely it'll start cooling down, it'll be perfect for them, and everything else will be perfectly fine as well. So I'm going to use a mixture of compost and the compost I actually have at the bottom there. So we're going to get a good mixture going, fill these up, and get some seeds in. This is our compost pile that we have going on here, and I'm going to be using some of this, some of our compost mulch that we always use, and I'm going to get a good mixture going in the wheelbarrow, and we're going to use that to start our seeds. This stuff is extremely light and kind of coarsely broken down. It's not fine, and when you water it, it's extremely well draining, so none of our seeds should rot and have too much water. And it is also very nice to use this because it is very rich in nutrients. There's a lot of nutrients and a lot of, you can see I just put some fresh grass on here. I haven't mixed it through because the weather has been a little bit out of our favor, so I'm going to take some of this and we're going to head back up to the top. So as you can see, this stuff is still extremely coarse. There's still full leaves and all kinds of twigs and stuff in here, but there is some pretty well broken down stuff, some ground and whatever in here as well. So that's why we're going to be mixing this with our compost mulch, just to add a little bit more of some finer particles. So yeah, you can still see there's some full leaves and twigs in here. So to plant straight into this, I wouldn't really recommend it. It might work, but not for long. So all of these twigs we can actually pull out because they're not going to work for us. But yeah, this is going to be mixed up with some compost mulch, and then we'll be able to start planting. I just thought I'd mention as well, this is what you call a hot compost pile, which means you have a ratio of carbons and nitrogens. So your greens will be your nitrogens, and your browns probably like these twigs and stuff that I have in here, and when the grass actually dies off, that'll be your browns. And by mixing these two together in your compost pile, it actually, as they decompose, it actually creates some heat. It gives off a lot of heat, and they can actually get up to 70 degrees Celsius, which is extremely hot. And for me, if I dig in here and I put my hand down here in the middle, I can actually feel it's warm. It's not hot, it's not like unbearably like hot, but it is definitely a lot warmer than if I just had to put my hand on the outside. So something is definitely happening here. There's a lot that's breaking down, and I've been using this compost pile for a long time now with all my pots up top. So just thought I'd mention that as well. This is called a hot compost pile, and they can get extremely hot in the perfect conditions. Back at our seedling table now, we've got our soil, our seedling trays, our seeds, and I'm actually going to use some masking tape just to stick on a little piece, just so that I know what I have in each container. So the first thing we're going to start with is some broccoli. I'm very excited to see what kind of what the seeds look like. I have no idea what broccoli seeds look like. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a 6L tray, going to fill it up with some of our mixture, and you can see this is extremely light and fluffy. Like if I push down, you can see it is very, very soft, so it's going to do very well for our roots to explore and start growing nicely. Because if you have a very clay clayey soil, the roots will battle to like explore and start going to new places and looking for water and stuff like that, because the roots are small and they are young, so they are going to battle if your soil is very hard and dry and has a lot of clay in it. So this little mixture we have here is going to work very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant 2 seeds per cell, just so that we don't have the same situation as down there in the cell, because I can always just pick up the weakest one, chuck it on the compost pile, or plant it somewhere else if I really want to, because if we plant a lot in one cell, we're going to have to do the same thing we did in the beds, and we're going to have to pick them out and plant them somewhere, and that's just a whole bunch of things with damaging roots and stuff. So I'm going to plant 2 seeds per cell, just so that I can pick off the weakest one, and then I can pop out the entire soil mixture with the plant in it. I can pop it out and plant it straight in the ground. I don't have to then worry about damaging roots and having to pick out things and stuff like that. So I'm going to make the holes in here. Let's see what these seeds look like. Wow, they're very small. So I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but that's what the broccoli seeds look like. So I'm going to plant 2 per cell very carefully, just make sure I've got 2 in each, and that one is 1. With these seeds, although I'm planting 2 per cell, I should have a pretty good success rate, especially with these seeds. I trust this Seeds of Success company very much. I've always used their seeds, even years ago when I used to plant at my grand's place and plant around here as well. I used the Seeds of Success and they always worked absolutely fantastic. So we're going to use the Seeds of Success for this. Some broccolis, cover these up. I'll give them all a good water once we have finished everything. There we go. So that is our first one done. Now what we need to do is get our masking tape, and I'm going to stick here on the side. Here we have our first one done. I've got the label broccoli there just so that we can see which ones are which, because they're all going to look the same before things start growing, so just so that I know what we have going on in each one. So I'm going to give this one a little water and we're going to carry on with the rest. Alright, so actually the rain has finally started to show itself. It was supposed to start raining at 10 o'clock this morning, and it is now like past 2 o'clock, and it is kind of starting to drizzle a little bit now. So I'm gonna stop for today. I don't want to have my phone and all kinds of things getting wet and stuff like that. So that's going to be it for today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. So once again, we have our 6-cell seedling trays, and we have all of our different varieties, our flowers, basil, carrots and cabbage. So we are going to carry on getting all these done before the crazy heat comes today. There's a little bit of a heat wave going through at the moment, so I want to get these done, watered and in the shade behind me, just so that before the heat comes, we can have this all done. So yeah, we have our next 6-cell filled up, and what I'm going to plant next is some chamomile. These remind me of daisies, that's why I got them. So we're going to get some of these in here. I was actually wanting to plant daisies in the raised bed at the bottom there, but my local nursery didn't have daisies in stock, so I just got some of these. I thought, let me give it a try. Let me see how it goes. I know they're not daisies, but let me see how it goes. I'm not going to be able to plant 2 seeds per thing. These seeds are absolutely tiny. They are. I hope the wind doesn't blow them away here. Let's see if I can show you. I don't even think you'll be able to make out each seed, but these things are tiny. So I'm definitely going to be planting a little bit more than 2, because I can't pick out exactly 2 seeds. So I'm just going to put in just like a little pinch per cell. Just going to use all of this I have in my hand. There we go. Close those up, and I'm going to give these all a water. Once I've done all of them, I'll just come over with a watering can and we'll get them all nice and soaked. And they will be in the shade, they're not going to be in direct sun today and while the heat wave is going through, because I don't want to dry out the soil. And if I do happen to dry out the soil while they're germinating and those roots dry out, we're going to have a big problem with them not succeeding, because they're going to be dry and they're not going to survive if the soil happens to dry out. So I'm going to label this one as well. And what I'm going to do is, I actually realized when I labeled the broccoli over here, I'm actually going to label on one of these, just so that when I have them all laid out, that I don't have to have them like this. I can have them a little like that. Just takes up a little bit less space. So we're going to put here there we go. Quite a long name, so there we go on there. So there we have our chamomile. Now next we're going to fill up another 6 cell. I just thought I'd mention again, we have a mixture here of my own compost and some compost mulch from my local nursery, and there are still a lot of big pieces in my own compost, but for the time being they will work perfectly fine for just germinating the seeds and getting them going, and then later on I'll plant them into some proper potting soil, and they will carry on growing in there. So they're not going to be in here for too long, so these big pieces of twigs and sticks and stuff, they're not going to affect our seeds from germinating and from growing. So next we are going to put in some sweet basil. I absolutely love basil, and I have a few in some pots down at the bottom there, and they're actually flowered and there are some seeds on the plant now, but they're not ready to harvest yet, so I just need to wait a little bit and then I can harvest those. But I got these just in case those don't work out, and just in case I battle with those seeds. So I'm just going to make some holes here, and I think I'll be able to plant 2 per cell. I think I'll be able to. These ones seem a little bit bigger. So there we have our sweet basil seeds. So I'll pop in 2 per cell. And if I look at these seeds, they actually look very similar to the ones that I have down the bottom there. So they're not exactly the same, so I don't know if it's the same variety, maybe it's a different variety or something, but the seeds definitely look similar. So that's just something interesting. So I'm trying to get these things back in here now. There we go. And then now just quickly get our label on here. Cover these up. Come out in here. Sweet basil. There we go. So there is our next 6 cell. And once all of these start growing and sprouting, I've got all those beds down the bottom there. I've got some of the tires on the side. I've got some pots if I really want to put them in there. I don't think I'll be putting any of these in pots. I'd rather have them, I'm going to have some more raised beds probably by the time. I'd rather have them in the ground than have them in pots and stuff. So this basil that I have in the pot here, it's actually doing surprisingly well. I thought that they would actually need a little bit more space, but they seem to be coping pretty well. So that's always very good. But I'm going to be planting all of these down in raised beds and in beds that I'm going to dig up at the bottom of the garden, so they'll all be perfectly fine. Oh, there's actually a worm in here, that's very good. A tiny little baby earthworm. It's always good to see like insects and little worms and all kinds of bugs and beetles and stuff in your compost. It means that there's a lot of nutrients that's being taken in and released out, and especially with worms, when you get the what the worms release once they've finished eating all the ground, that stuff is extremely good for your soil. So to see a worm in here is actually very good, because obviously it did not come from the bagged compost, so it must have been from my compost heap, which is very good. I'm glad about that. So next thing we're going to do, put some carrots, just some normal basic carrots. These are the same seeds that I used for the one at the bottom, for the beds at the bottom. So just going to make some holes here. So there we have our carrot seeds, and I think I'll be able to put 2 per block. Maybe I might do 3 depending on if I accidentally drop one in there, because they are quite small. There we go. Up. Then we can put a label on. I don't have those ones that you like stick in on the side, so I'm just making do with masking tape in the meantime, until I can maybe find some. So this is going to do for now, so we can get carrots. There. And our last 6L. So our last 6L here, we're going to use this one for some cabbage. I've never grown cabbage before. So this is going to be quite interesting to see how this all plans out. So cabbage seeds are very round. They're not like a traditional looking seed. So we have some cabbage seeds, and I will be able to put 2 per cell, because these ones are a little bit bigger and a little bit easier to control as well. Like they don't flop around and whatever. So you see there's some big leaves in here. I'm just taking them out. I don't want the roots to be blocked by some massive leaf that's in the way. So put some seeds in here. Make sure it's a little bit deeper. Some in there. Okay. This one can actually use a little bit more of that mixture on top here, because I took those leaves out, so now it's a little bit less. Yeah, this one's bad. All the others seem to be fine. Okay, there we go. Now, put our label on. So there we have our next 4 6-cell seedling trays. I have the other one with the broccoli, which is down at the bottom in the shade already. So I'm going to move these over, give them a good water, and I'll put them in the shade. I'm not going to have them in direct sun. There we have all of our seedlings, our seedling trays. They're going to be seedling soon. And just going to give them a little bit of water. I'm not going to water the broccoli because I did give them a water last night and they are still perfectly fine. And because they're not going to be in direct sun just yet because of this heat wave, they will stay nice and moist for a while, and we won't have to worry about them drying out and stuff like that. I just thought I'd end the video down at the broccoli bed. They are doing absolutely fantastic and I'm really proud of them. They are so much bigger than when I first got them, and I think I planted them like 2 weeks ago, so a huge amount of growth in that short space of time. So I just want to say once again, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoy.